Alrighty. This is part number 2, the sequel of Zuneigung. And I am with Rudolph again, and this is my last night in Boston, Massachusetts. And right before I pressed record, we were just talking about like having a recap to kind of like put a bow on this and tie it up. In our thoughts on our experiences with Zuneigung, and just kind of like putting some closing remarks on it. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Well, I think you could probably go first, and we could, in our conversation, step a step back, because before we started the recording, we were already having a conversation.
Yes.
I was like, oh no, another recording. I'm so tired. We had a good shoot today.
Yeah.
We had severe weather in the park. It was a beautiful experience, but I'm exhausted. Yeah. So first I was like, I don't know, let's skip this part. But then I thought, well, we have announced it. We should do a second part, and so maybe we'll start with your initial question, which I think was about how the. Yeah, well, I'll just give you the word, and you'll ask what you wanted to know, or you said what you wanted to say.
So the question I was thinking we pivot around is, has our impressions, definitions, our experiences with the word Zuneigung, which, correct me if I'm wrong, in German just means like for an inclination towards something. Has that changed after our experience today?
I mean, in German it means the inclination towards something, and it also means affection for something or for somebody.
Yeah.
In most cases, has that changed? Yeah, that was your initial question, and I said, and I still the very first impulse was to say no, it has not changed for me. It is still the same, and what we experienced today was a very wonderful example of what this can mean, and what it means to me, and what it has meant to me, and what it still means to me. But thinking about it now, I realized that of course it has changed, because everything changes all the time. It has not radically changed. It has not entirely changed. I'm not thinking that Zuneigung is something entirely different today than it was yesterday, when we have not yet had these experiences in the park. But it is the idea has become fuller. There is something added to it. There is a dimension added to it that it didn't have before. Also, we met a wonderful photographer, another artist, by chance in this snowstorm on the Boston Common, and I did not anticipate having Zuneigung zu dritt. So I thought, so I did not expect a third person to take part in this affection. But well, she was there. It seemed to be the right moment, the right time, and the right place. And even before we started to really get into our own work, we were already affectionately affected by her passing by, and then I'll let you tell the story of what exactly happened. I mean, from my perspective, I found myself standing alone with a Bolex, with a 16mm camera in my hand, seeing Kibbs move away from me, and at some point realizing that I would have to follow him if I did not want to lose him in this snowstorm. And I mean, these were very, very very good examples of Zuneigung. Very good examples of Zuneigung. How I followed you, you followed somebody else, and in the end we got together, the three of us. And yeah, I'll hand the word back to you two, if you would. Tell the story of what has happened on the common today.
Yeah, it was awesome. So Rudolph came to pick me up. I was staying at the High Hostel out in Stewart Street, I want to say it's located. And then I step outside, and Rudolph had also brought an extra scarf, thank God, because it was so windy and so cold. And I'm walking outside, and we're walking to the Boston Commons, where we get to see this beautiful statue of the Embrace. And I am unhappy, but I also didn't want to kill the mood, so I'm being talkative and trying to find positive things to talk about. But I'm so cold. My hands are cold, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be the worst day ever. I was like, why did I agree to this? All of that is going through my mind, but I'm putting on a mask, so I didn't want to kill the mood. And then so Rudolph is showing me the Bolex camera and kind of explaining it to me. And then eventually he tells me he's going to let me use it. And I was like, and I was like, what? And then I got really excited. And I was like, wow, this is going to be super cool to get to use this fascinating device. And as Rudolph is explaining it to me, this woman passes by. Her name is Sophie. And we exchange. So I don't usually say people's name on the podcast, but this is different because it was a very pleasant conversation. And maybe I'll tag her in this, I don't know. But Sophie passes by, and I just kind of wave, and she looked like she just had a very, how, when somebody has a very pleasant face that is very friendly and very kind. I was like, oh, hey, hi. And then she waved back, she said hi, and then she kept walking. And as she was walking, I turned to Rudolph, and I was like, oh, wouldn't that be cool to just have somebody and to kind of put somebody on this recording that we're about to do. And then I noticed that she has a camera as well. And they're like these, I don't know much about art and photography, but they're like the expensive cameras a photographer would use. I don't know what the brand is or anything like that. Maybe you know, Rudolph? I don't know. Okay. But
I don't, but it was like big lenses, like zoom lenses. It looked pretty professional, and I think she had two of them, so that made her look like the real deal.
Yeah, very official.
And also, one can't stress this enough. The weather was horrible, so anybody who would be out in these conditions, they would be out for a very, very good or important reason. So yeah.
So then I see the cameras, and I'm like, oh, let me just go after her and ask her if she'd want to participate in this project that we're doing. And then by the time I finally make the decision, she's already kind of far away. So then I just run after her, and I'm chasing her, saying, excuse me. And then there's the wind going on, and there's a lot happening. I don't think she hears me. Eventually, I run close enough behind her, and I say, excuse me, and I kind of scream it. And then she turns around, she goes, ah! And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for scaring you. That's not my intention. She's like, no, it's okay. I completely understand. I was like, yeah, that would be really weird. This guy randomly chasing you, I'd be petrified as well. So I completely get it. And then I explain what we're trying to do. And by that time, that's when I see Rudolph coming from behind, because you're kind of a bit far away from us at the time.
Yeah, because I was kind of, when you left, I was expecting you would ask this woman to come back to us, and I was waiting for the two of you coming towards me, and then I would also start, because we were standing in a kind of a sheltered place to work with the camera, that I was still, I was pretty much done explaining to you how to use it, but yeah, you had not yet taken the camera. So I thought you will want to come back because you want to film with this woman in it. Yeah. And at some point I realized, well, I will have to follow you. And then I came and met the two of you. Yeah. She was very nice. Yeah.
She was so sweet.
Introduced herself, I introduced myself, and then we were shortly explaining that what we wanted to do. Yep. She also suggested a place in the park that we later went to and had some more interesting and wonderful exchange with other people and other beings, because
Yeah.
there were also dogs.
Yes.
There were dogs too.
Yes. But what was so fascinating about this whole experience, and just to kind of like even tie it in with everything that we talked about with like love yesterday, right? Is that I felt like I experienced a different texture of Zuneigung, where before it was just like theory and it was just a beautiful idea. And then to experience it yourself, you're even more confused because it's hard to find the right words to elaborate on it. But it feels more real and more grounded now. And the way I would describe it is like, because I, as somebody who loves writing poetry, I love to write about love. When I think about the idea of love, I think about it like when I was younger, when I was like in middle school or high school. And it was just about like this kind of like passion, irrational passion. Like you're going to fall for somebody and it's going to be, and it's not even in a erotic, lustful sense. Not that at all. But in a more dramatic Romeo and Juliet, like I'm going to give it my all kind of. And don't get me wrong. Like I think that fiery, passionate desire of love is a version of love. It's just a texture of love. And then you understand the different complexity of love. I won't use the word complications. That has a negative connotation. But like the different complexities of love. And then there's the other idea of love that now I experience, and then now I would say that I experience more and at my age with in all facets, both like platonic, with family, with friends. The idea of like a very calm, subtle love where you could just go to the park and just sit down or just have a cup of coffee or sit down and philosophize about a German word. Like all of this is still under the umbrella of love. But it's not this widespread Disney love with a prince and a princess or this Romeo and Juliet dramatic love. But it's all that. And I felt the exact same way with Zuneigung. Where it's, at first I was like, oh, it's this amazing but kind of superficial idea of just two people bonding. Is it like a vibe? I think that's how I described it yesterday.
Yeah, you used the word vibe, yeah.
Yeah, and then now today I'm like, oh, it's very complex and textured. And then it could mean bumping into like another photographer and then like this person being so cool and so awesome and like participating in your project. And then we go to different parents and we ask them permission to take videos of their families and their dogs, and this is also Zuneigung because there's just like this community aspect of it where we're all enjoying this experience. So it felt so much more layered and textured than I had thought it was when I saw the word yesterday when we talked about it.
Yeah, I think this is that's a great. It's great to hear that. You had when it was only an abstract concept yesterday, when it was only a word that I try to translate and try to explain this idea to you, then you have a certain idea, and then when you experience it, you feel. You get the feeling for it, or the word becomes alive. It becomes, it is filled with actual experience, or you are experiencing Zuneigung in this moment, and you have experienced it this afternoon. And it is hard to describe because it has so many layers to it. As we were talking yesterday, is it curiosity? Is curiosity a form of Zuneigung? Yes. But today we had more than just curiosity. We went there because we were curious, but we discovered something out of this curiosity, and we bonded with a total stranger, somebody we had never seen before, who had never seen us before, in a moment where, at the very first moment, she was a little scared because there was somebody chasing her, talking to her, saying something about making a film or using a camera. This guy did not have a camera because I had the camera and I was like, I don't know, 10 meters behind. I don't know how many feet or yards this is, but I was not quickly in view because it was also a snowstorm. and then the three of us got together, we exchanged contacts, and she snapped a couple of pictures of us. And now she's the lead in your debut film. You know, I mean, that's not nothing. That is Zuneigung. That is what Zuneigung can do. And then because you mentioned these the parents, we went over to that hill where children and families and dogs were playing in the snow. There were snowboarders, people in the middle of downtown Boston. People go snowboarding, they go skiing. It looked like Ebensee, my hometown in the Austrian Alps. People were dressed like Ebenseers in Boston. We met two people coming from the statue. They looked as if they were from outer space. They were wearing these big goggles, and I think they were wearing helmets. Maybe they were snowboarders too, right? And they were filming around the sculpture too, because it was beautiful. You'll see this hopefully soon somewhere when the film is processed and everything turned out well. We don't know yet if we have captured good images and if these images will, if we manage to process the film, but we cross our fingers. And I found it very nice, and also a different part of Zuneigung, because first we asked a guy who we supposed was the dad of some of these children. Kibs was like, well, we have this old cool camera, we'd like to take some images of the families playing in the snow here. But we wanted to make sure to ask permission of the parents, and this guy was like, "Oh, that's nice of you. Yeah, sure. You can take my picture. This is my dog. You can film him." And over there, these are my children, two children pulling up like a bob or a sleigh or
like a sled.
And we were like, "Oh, okay, thank you." And then we went further up the hill, where we met a woman, and we asked her, we also said the same, well, we have this camera, would it be okay to take pictures? And she said, what did she exactly say? That this is her daughter, but the rest of the children were not?
Yeah, she just brought them out, but she wasn't the parents of them. She's just supervising them.
Right.
Because they played with her daughter or something like
and
that.
We said, we know these children over there, this guy, they're dead. And she was like, no, he's... Like, what?
I was like, oh, okay.
Was he just claiming these children? But I think it was also an expression of Zuneigung of this man towards these children who, he was supervising them, but he was like, for the time being, I like them as if they were my children.
That's beautiful. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
But then again, I mean, I don't know if he can just do that. I'm glad we talked to the woman and then ended up not taking images of these children because their actual parents were not around. But yeah, I found it somehow also a nice way that this man was like, yeah, no, these are my children. Yeah. And what I also liked when I think we were talking earlier and you said, first of all, you put on a good mask. I really did not realize how much you hated
going out. The wind was killing me.
Before shooting, you were pretty jolly.
Yeah.
But then you said, after you got warmer, or that somehow this changed. And I think Zuneigung also, it is a warm feeling. It is some warmth is in the feeling of Zuneigung. So maybe you can talk about that again, of how also your physical feeling changed, or what you were experiencing during the time that we spent in this Arctic conditions.
That's a great way of putting it. I think it's just simply that going outside, it was really cold and windy, and I already started to feel, because the wind felt like it was whipping my face. I already started to feel my cheeks getting numb, and I was like, this is not going to be a great day. I was like, I hope we're outside for like 5 minutes and we run back inside. And then I was like, man, this is going to be a tough day. But then after meeting Sophie and just having like such a positive interaction, and then we met the people who look like aliens because of their huge goggles, and we had a positive interaction with them, and everybody we kept bumping into was smiling and waving.
Yeah.
And then heading up and then meeting the dad, who's, I guess not the dad, but is the dad. There is, and so what I was saying before is that I definitely got colder. My hands got number. My face got number, and my toes felt like they were about to fall off. So physically, I felt worse, but emotionally, I felt so happy. The dog's running around. The dog had a little toy in his mouth, and he just kept running up and down the hill. And I think the joy that everyone was experiencing was infectious. So to even make this even more complex and layered, I would say that the feeling of Zuneigung is something that is infectious, because everyone was feeling it. You know, we come up with this like old-fashioned camera, and people become curious, and then they want to know, and then they want to share in this experience that we're having. The little girl asks if it's a kite, you know, and she's curious about it.
Yeah.
And so there is this really. The thing is, if we were to create a Zuneigung dish, the way you created this Austrian pasta dish for me this evening, I'm trying to think of what adjectives we've put into it, and I don't even know what they would be. Curiosity, being infectious, a warm feeling, kindness, inclination, like even the idea of love, but the idea of like a really calm love, not this like passionate Romeo and Juliet love, but like, oh wow, I really just enjoy your company. I enjoy your presence kind of love. Like that kind of like serene, equanimous love, calm love, that kind of love, you know?
Yeah.
But even with the energy of the dog, it was so like infectious and playful, and it was passion. It was like a playful passion. So that is also incorporated in this Zuneigung dish, quote unquote. So it's a very, I love the complexity and the texture nature of it. But I don't know how to define it. I'm even more confused than I was yesterday, in a good way.
Yeah, and I think we were already talking about this yesterday, that in the end it kind of is impossible to give a definite definition of it, because it is and will be something different for different people, and it will be something different for the same people at different times.
Mm-hmm.
So what I thought, and I think I said this to Sophie, is, you know, when you say love, but not this hot, passionate love.
No.
I think Zuneigung is that first energy you need in starting in starting a friendship. It's Zuneigung you feel. I don't know. Sure, as a curiosity, you're interested in somebody, or I mean, maybe somebody just happens to be there.
Yeah.
And you feel inclined to talking to them, and you feel enough affection that you muster up the courage to chase them in a snowstorm, and then I think I said, well, maybe after we exchanged our contacts, I said, well, maybe we'll be friends for life.
Yeah.
And we don't know if this is going to happen, but yeah, I mean, now we have each other's contacts. contacts. I sure would be up for it to meet again somewhere, someday. And we could be friends.
There is, and I'm going to. The thing is, I should have told you this off the records because I don't want to expose you on the record. But you have such amazing stories of like people that you've only met once or twice, me being one of them, and then having these lifelong bonds with them that I really want you to share it only if you're comfortable. But there is this word that is almost falls in line with what you're saying. There's a Japanese word called koi no yokan. Have you ever heard it before? And it's basically the extraordinary sense upon first meeting someone that you will one day fall in love. So it's not like love at first sight. It's not that. Yeah. It's like there is a potential that you could love that person. And by the way, let me just be super straightforward. I'm not saying that about my chasing Sophie. I'm not saying that at all, by the way. But what I am saying is, in terms of friendship, I've made friends like that. You being one of them. Like you just meet somebody for the first time, and like, oh shit, this is gonna be a cool person to hang out with. So I wish there was a way to say that same word in a more platonic sense. You know what I mean? Like it's like we met up during when I hosted the symposium, and then afterwards we just met up after that, and we met up for 2 or 3 times, and now I'm in your apartment in Boston because you're here for like a month.
Which is not my apartment, but I'm living here.
Yeah. We'll claim it temporarily. But
these are my kids. These are my kids. My kid is sleeping upstairs, which is not my kid.
We're just claiming everything. So I think there is this idea of koi no yokan in a purely platonic sense. Like, wow, like I met you, I really enjoy your vibe, I really enjoyed your energy. And there was something about Sophie, about like just how chill and how cool she was and how pleasant she seemed. Like even without the camera, I think I still would have asked her, hey, do you want to participate in this project? Because she seemed really curious about this huge old-fashioned camera that we had, you know? So I think what I'm looking to do in life is have this experience of koi no yokan, not in a romantic sense, but in a platonic sense with as many people as I meet. So I can have the kind of like that we were talking about off here, where you meet all these cool people at a movie theater, and then you're just like, hey, you can stay in my apartment. It's like, what? Like, get out of here. That's wicked, man. That's a story.
Yeah, that's a story for another time, the whole story. But I understand, first of all, your wish for having a word for that, because I would like to have a word for that too. And maybe there is a word, we just don't know it. And if there isn't a word, but then we might be able to come up with a word, because we are both working in poetry, so it's kind of our job to find words for emotions and for situations and for feelings and for very special things. And I think it is one of the most special things that I can think of, and one of the most beautiful things that have happened to me, and that I want to have happened to me again, to meet people and to feel very early on in our relationship a deep connection with these people, a form of trust.
Yeah.
And I think I have an ability to bring an openness to the table and towards everybody.
I agree.
I mean, maybe everybody is too big a word, but to most people, I can bring maybe more openness than they are used to. And I will, people will see I come with good intentions. And this often leads to a situation where we're both comfortable in sharing deeper feelings, deeper thoughts, and doing this very early on in a relationship, I think creates a bond that is very strong. If there is, and especially if there is not this moment of disappointment of, oh no, you were only just, I don't know, an amazing actor who was putting up this illusion that you would care for me, but I'm not an actor. I'm the worst actor. And then when and also I think we have good, I don't know, not sensory devices. I don't know this.
Like intuition?
Intuition, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For bullshit, I think. Yeah.
We
as
do,
as
yes.
people, we have good intuition for that. So, yeah, when it feels like we can have a genuine, deep conversation about important things in our lives, then this is a meaningful way to spend time. And I'm afraid that it has become a rare thing in our times to find possibilities to do that. And I try to create situations in which this is possible, and this project is focusing on bringing people together and creating this time and a framework where such a form of exchange can happen. And even without working on an art project, just in everyday life, it is really important to me to have this, to try to create moments where this could happen, this feeling that we're still looking to find a word for. And I've forgotten that Japanese expression already because I don't know any Japanese, so it's very hard for me to...
Koi no yokan. And I'm probably saying it incorrectly for any Japanese speakers out there. Don't use me as your source. But a friend of mine had showed this to me in Berlin, and it really always resonated with me. Because I find that that's a feeling, and this is what I was saying to you, that like I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, this is an experience that we could have never paid for. All the money in the world could have never given us this experience today. So even the cost that I paid to come here, to stay at the hostel X, Y, and Z, it doesn't measure up to the experience I had today. Because the alternative is me stuck at home, being frustrated, staring at these documents that I need to write and catching up on work. And that's emotionally, spiritually just damaging. And today was just a very fulfilling day. And I think art offers this opportunity more so than business or being a finance bro or, working at the stock market. You're not really going to have these opportunities of spontaneity and serendipity and Zuneigung and Koi no yokan. You're not going to have that. But
I don't know. I've never worked in this field. Maybe it happens, but it's not widely known if it happens. And of course there are, because also before the recording started, way before the recording started, we had a conversation where I told you, well, the thing that I like so much about being able to introduce myself as some kind of an artist, a writer, a creative worker, is that I can very openly come up to a person who I meet for the first time and who I really want to work with and introduce myself as saying, I'm somebody who does not really know what he
Yeah.
does. I am an amateur, an absolute amateur. I'm a beginner. I'm a dilettante, complete dilettante. Also, I mean, in the sense of the Italian expression, the dilettante, somebody who just loves, who just does something because he loves to do it. Not
That's
only being bad at it, but you do it for the love of doing it.
Yeah.
And the amateur is also somebody who loves what he does. It does not necessarily have only the connotation of being somebody who does not really know what he's doing. But in some cases, I am somebody who does not know what he's doing, especially working on this film project. I'm not a filmmaker. I've taken a couple of workshops where people, patiently showed me how to work with this medium. But still, I don't really know what I'm doing, and I also want to openly communicate this to everybody because I don't want to raise expectations that I cannot meet. And the same goes for, or can go for, a project in literature where I have way more experience, and this is my actual work, and I have expertise in the field of literature. But then I will again approach new projects, and this is also what I'm interested in, doing something that I do not yet know how to do it, to grow, evolve, and have possibilities of learning something new, and maybe also finding out something new that will actually be something interesting that we can then present to the world. And I think in this sense, art is a special field because in finance, or as you pointed out very correctly, in medicine, for instance, you don't want to some guy enter the emergency room or do surgery and be like, yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing there. I want to be absolutely frank and open about it, but I'm really happy that we meet here and that I will learn so much from just joining you.
Exactly.
At this surgery. No, it does not. This does not work in certain fields.
Not at all.
And I suppose it also does not work in all art projects. I mean, for some projects, you will need people who know exactly what they do.
Yeah, true.
But there is a field, and I think I'm thinking about this as a social sculpture. I used this
I
word
love
before.
that phrase, by the way.
That it is working with other people, working with the society itself and the structure, these relations we have between each other, and sculpting these relations. And since these are complex systems, we can never really know all of the information of it, so we will always on this field be somehow amateurs, because it is, if you change something here and there, things will change that we could not anticipate, because these are human beings. Every individual is complex, and then all our relationships, so there is no way of knowing what will come of it. And maybe this also gives me the feeling that I don't have to ask anybody for permission, or that I have permission to engage or in trying to do things like that, because I mean, for a long time I did not I wasn't sure if I could try doing things like this, because
Wow.
I somehow thought, well, I would need a certain kind of education, or I
Yeah.
would need some permission of an institution or anything.
Oh, wow.
And now I feel like, well, if I tell everybody that I don't have an education in this, and I don't have an institution that's sending me out here, and I'm doing this as an amateur and as a dilettante, but still I want to do this, then I think, well, people, they can always say no, and some people say no, and that's completely fine, but a lot of people say yes, and then we try this and we experiment with it, and we see what comes of it. And yeah, it so far with this Zuneigung project, it has been a beautiful journey.
Yeah, I love that. This is because, whenever we start talking, we're already at 40 minutes. This is going to be the final thing I say. Then I'll hand it off to you. And then you can have the final word. So one of the philosophers, because he doesn't consider himself a guru, or he never had considered himself because he's passed away, Krishnamurti, he had this idea that many people are secondhand human beings. And the way he says that is that everyone's looking for someone else to tell them what to think, or as you were saying, like to give them permission to do something, And then so that really inspired me, because I felt like I had lived that way for a very long time. And then I met like my mentor and my philosophy teacher, who I told you about, who just walked into class one day, said something, and the very next day said the complete opposite, and just showed you these different perspectives. And the reason why I enjoy having these conversations is not just because it's a diary of the day, and it's a diary of this moment that we just had, and this experience that we just shared, but also like I'm in a place right now where I'm confused in a positive way. Like I don't have an answer. We're not going to leave here with understanding what Zuneigung is. We're not going to leave here understanding what love is. No one is. And so this experience for me, what's beautiful and so special about it is because this is the artistic experience of saying like, this is what life is. It's confusing. It flows. It makes sense some days. You feel like it makes sense the other days, and sometimes it just doesn't add up. And so that's the lesson I'm always trying to instill for the students, is like, this isn't going to make sense. The point is for you to enjoy the process of doing it, of thinking, of talking through something, of being wrong about something, of changing your perspective, of learning a new task, of learning a new art. That's kind of like, and maybe, just to put a button, to put a bow on this as I give my final word, maybe that's also part of Zuneigung. It's like this love of art, this love of the experience of like, boom, this is what it is. I might be good at it, I might be bad at it. No answers. We're all confused in the end.
Yeah, embracing the whole package, not only the good sides, but everything in life is worth embracing it, and the bad times are necessary, and are I don't know if they are necessary, but they are a part of life, and the good part is even better, of course. It's the better part, the good part,
For
or
sure.
just the good part. Well, if I have the last word,
Yes, please.
again, then I will use it to try to say, I'm sorry for doing a bad job yesterday in our podcast, because I somehow, I was struggling with this today. When I woke up, I thought, I could not, I did not manage. How did you put the bow on?
To put the bow on it,
On it. I was like meandering around. I kind of felt that I know what I want to say, but the words didn't come to me. Not sure if this was a language barrier thing or a brain barrier thing, that I could just not come to formulate a sentence to get my point across. Not trying to do it today, just saying things like that happen. I want to embrace everything, and also wanted to ask for your, say, here are my apologies. I ask your forgiveness. I could not give you a nice little bow on our last podcast. And I'm not sure how good a job I'm doing today, but I have the feeling it's a better job than I did yesterday. And, well, that's it from my part.
Alrighty. I'll stop it here.
All right.